Okay, so on to the sort of third point, so flexible and adaptable content. So it's content that has to attract the right audience. It needs to be relevant and allow you to find content quickly and easily. It needs to have a taxonomy within it, so it needs to know that there's a relationship between one piece of content and another, and between a town and a city and the country, so that all of this can be pulled together. Now this sounds simple stuff, but it's so often the case that there isn't a taxonomy at all within a lot of the travel companies we work with. So I think it's one of the first steps to ensuring that you can keep your content out of kind of silos, so your product and your content know that each other exists, and you can interlink between them so that one is working for the other, not the two in isolation. And then by doing that, you can ensure you have content for every platform. So this is about how you can make use of all of this rich, exciting, local content. You can actually make use of it across a multitude of different places. And what I'm just, this is sort of trying to show a sort of depiction of how powerful metadata can be. So what we're looking at here is a real scattergun of all of the information that you might tag to a point of interest, and how that data can then form a real levels of information about that. So you know everything from the location of it, to the types of things it offers, to the types of content or types of article that this might fit into as well. So excuse the animation, but so what we're now doing is pulling that together. So this is Cat's Deli in New York. So the first line with Deli Cafe on the side there, that is all of the very top level kind of information, what it is, you know, why, you know, where it is, all of that kind of information that allows you to tag it to a certain location. The second one is really looking at, you know, the kind of why would I go there, what does it offer me? Well, it offers me great salami, the best hot dog. It's the type of information that kind of inspires you about why you go there rather than somewhere else. And then the last column is then the types of article you might pull that into. So by adding that metadata, you've then got the ability to pull it together into an article on the top 10 delis or a one-day walking tour, and that's where you stop off for breakfast or you stop off for lunch. So it builds that kind of picture and allows you to utilise content in a variety of different ways. So then, timely content. So, I mean, the destination is changing all the time. It's alive, but is your content. How do you make your content? Keep it up to date, but also make sure it's fresh. And I think here it really is, you know, again, you would focus on making sure that your product was always up to date. You wouldn't necessarily always focus on your content. And if the two are up to date and fresh and new, then you can sell the two together. So you can use that within your CRM strategies and your email newsletters, because the two are working together. You can create seasonal content. You can create London in spring, London in summer. You can you know, do that through images, through video. But you can create those sort of articles and pull them together based on the seasonality of what you're seeing there. You can also focus on kind of the more granular, the exhibitions, the theatres, the shows, the new events that are happening, again, to make sure that the location feels alive and you're seeing what's changing rather than just you know, what was there last month. And you can also focus on kind of blogs from your staff and locals as well, so you build up a real feeling of what's going on in that destination. And you know, local deals as well, a great way of showing what's happening on the ground, and a great way of you know, driving an ancillary revenue as well. So keeping it up to date, and this is often sort of the hardest part, it's often the bit that's forgotten. And I think it's really important to make sure that whenever you're creating content or creating a structure or creating a guide set, you make sure that when you're doing that, you think about how you'll aid the update further down the line in a year or in a, you know, however long it is that you need to take to update that content. Whatever you create needs to be checked and refreshed, so don't sort of think about it as a one-off sort of build and then that's the end of it. Make sure you plan that update schedule so that you can stick to it. And you know, there's differences. Large destinations they will change more, but smaller destinations are also going to be much harder to manage, because it's having the people on the ground who have that information and know about the destination is going to be really important. And also, if you're going to add, and it's really, you know, really good to add interlinking between your different sections of content, make sure you've got a way of managing that within your CMS. So if you're linking from an overview of a destination into a point of interest, make sure you know that if that point of interest closes, you're also going to be able to take the link out of the overview as well. And lastly, the local side. So localization. And it's important to sort of stress localization, not translation. It has to be in the local tone. It has to be really feeling like it's inspirational travel content for that language, not just a translation of an English version or a Spanish version. It has to be right for that audience and pick up the local dialects that there are in many languages, and knowing which audience you're talking to. The content needs to be concise. You need to think about the fact that if you're translating from English into other languages, it can often have 30–40% of the words. So it's really important that you have that that knowledge when you're building the CMS, that it's going to be of the right length. And also make sure that metadata is in multiple languages as well, so that you're picking up that information. And then down to the sort of location. So use the native functionality of your smartphone. It knows where you are, it knows what you're doing. Make sure you're doing that and you're taking account of that. Harness the power of the cloud as well. I mean, that's going to be over the next 12 months, 2 years. I think the ability to access and do some real sort of hard sort of data crunching in the cloud is going to become key. Hopefully also a lot of the network charges and browsing charges will start coming down, data roaming charges, because that's going to allow us to do a lot more in the destination than we can currently. We're fairly restricted by the online-offline issue on mobile devices. And really just sort of lastly, local timely offers, as we mentioned before. So in summary, audience marketplace, ensure it's relevant, rich and insider, make sure you're providing the whole experience, flexible so it's relevant for the audience and you can provide it on any platform, timely, what's new, what's next, and local, my language, where am I? So thank you very much.